slightly different than marketing strategy, which is what you thought you were going to hear. You're honestly going to hear pretty much the same marketing strategy lecture, because I have sort of a holistic approach where we include everything you need to consider in your marketing plan so you can develop a strategy that reaches out to your target audience. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I don't think you'll be disappointed, even though I'm not the person you expected. Let me just go here and do slide down. So how to build a marketing plan. And you really need a comprehensive plan so that you can decide which direction you're going in. Who are your target customers? You know, where are you going to find them? What is your position in the neighborhood or the community and or online? You know, are you targeting young people, you know, 15 to 22, or older people, or homemakers, or people with lots of disposable income? You know, and we're going to talk about creating an appealing image or package. And when I say image, sometimes the person is the image or package. If you're a real estate agent, you know, if you're an insurance agent, you are sort of the product image. We're going to talk about developing a promotional plan, something to generate immediate sales, also about pricing your products or services. And when I talk about product, it is absolutely interchangeable with service, because some of you may be in service businesses while others of you are making actual physical products. And some of you might be in the restaurant business where you're serving products, but you're also providing service. And then we're going to talk about how to sell your products and services. So customers buy product benefits. They don't buy features. They want to know what's in it for them. And so and the easy way to remember this is FAB: feature, advantage, benefit. So when you define a product's feature, let's turn them into product benefits. And typically, if we were in a room, you could shout out what the benefits of this was. But since we're now in the virtual room, you know, what do pockets provide? That's a little raincoat with a matching hat. Pockets provide, you know, sometimes I hate things that don't have deep enough pockets because they don't hold a cell phone, or they're too small for your keys, or nowadays they don't hold my hand sanitizer. You know, and a collar so deep pockets holds all your stuff. And a collar on a raincoat's really important because it keeps the rain from going down your neck. Machine wash and dry. I think many of you are like me. I will pay more for machine wash and dry than having to take something to the dry cleaner. And I live on top of a dry cleaners, but it's just a hassle to take it there, to remember to pick it up, to get there before they close. Mid-length, the benefit is if it's sort of good for lots of weathers and lots of varying amounts of precipitation. And a matching cap, keep your head warmer and drier. So those are the benefits of having those particular features. But you want to describe benefits, not just features. Now, the 4 cornerstones of marketing, I wish I had made this up. I didn't. It's Philip Kotler. He's an American marketing authority, and he invented this. It's probably 50 years ago. The man's really old now. I do believe he is still alive. He was a professor at Northwestern University, our very own Northwestern, but he came up with these 4 pillars. And to make up your marketing plan, to think about how you're going to market your product, you have to consider the product or the service itself, the price or the price of each product you're offering, the promotion, how you're going to advertise it or sell it or get those sales to come in, and then also the placement, which is also distribution. How do you get your products or services where customers expect to find them? And when you think about that, think about like a can of Coke, where it's in the pop aisle at a grocery store, but it's also in the checkout aisle. And we'll talk more about Coke. It's also, I don't ever feel you're more than 350 feet away from a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi or a pop machine. I think they're everywhere. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. When you describe the product or service, it's define in detail every type of product or service your business offers. Determine what common problem or problems you are solving. When you solve a problem uniquely, it's defined in the marketing world as your unique selling proposition. What are you selling? And it's presented to the seller as a reason that one product or service is different or better than the competition. When you think of Spot Hero, it solved a problem when there isn't enough street parking. It sold empty spaces to people who were looking for them. So it's what differentiate, and they really differentiated themselves from just being a parking lot or the City of Chicago Parking Act, which is wonderful. I'm not taking anything away from the city, but sometimes there's no street parking. So you have to think of what's your unique selling proposition. What makes your product or service distinctly different from everybody else's? Now, define in detail every product that the company offers. Each product is called a stock keeping unit. So every different color, every different flavor, every different size, and all of the product attributes are a unique selling item, a unique stock keeping unit. So that if I make sweaters and I sell them in red, green, and blue, I have 3 colors. I might sell them in 6 sizes. So you have to think about each one, because honestly, clothes don't sell, sizes nor colors do not sell at the same ratio uniformly. So you really have to know your target audience. And, that's developed a lot of unique niche stores. If you think of Big and Tall or Lane Bryant or petite sizes, so sizing, colors, flavors, each one is unique in your product category. And then does the business offer slightly different product variations for different users? And for this, if any of you make a product, some of you might make cookies, or I've worked with local Chicago coffee roasters before. If you're a Chicago coffee roaster, and there are several, you might make a 12-ounce package that you sell at Whole Foods. But you might make a 5-pound bag that you sell to restaurants and food service companies or hospitals or cafeterias. So you might have the same, think of Heinz ketchup. They make a million different sizes of the same, or now they make many different types of ketchup, which I couldn't believe the other day. I needed a bottle. There must have been 9 bottles, salty, spicy, sweet, low sodium, different sizes, but they make those little teeny tiny packages that you get at McDonald's or a fast food place. And they also make those giant tubs that have the pump thing on them that it's kind of like what you use at a Culver's. And they also probably have, 5-gallon drums that they sell to food manufacturers that use ketchup in their recipe. So different sizes for different customers. Does the business offer an assortment of products and services and prices to meet customer needs? And this is when you think about a car dealership. Each brand of car has good, better, best. The stripped down model where, yes, you get transportation to go to work or go to school or get around the neighborhood. And then you get more and more and more luxurious. If you think about General Motors, there's the Chevy, there's the Buick, there's the Cadillac. So good, better, best. And that's what we're talking about here. And then define the product or service package or image. And then I mentioned, sometimes the package is incredibly important to the product. When you think about cups of soup or microwavable macaroni or different sizes of Hershey bars or You know, the product is convenient to use. Tide Pods. Now they have Tide Pods. They have dishwasher pods. So the packaging can really enhance the use and the saleability or the marketability of your product. And like I said, with image, sometimes it is the cachet. Why does Coach charge or Gucci charge so much for their initials, or Ralph Lauren? So sometimes the image of the line has a cachet, and sometimes, like I said, you are the actual salesperson. The same way, like at Best Buy, they all wear the same color shirts, so you can tell the customers from the staff. Same way at Target. So you have to think about packaging and how it's going to enhance the sales of your goods or services. Now, in pricing, you have to just decide on the pricing structure for each product or service that you offer. Because there's the stripped down model. Think about it even as cable. You get basic cable and you get your stations, your 2, 5, 7, 9, 11. You get some what was VHS stations. You might get a few premium channels for kids or whatever. But then each more deluxe, that Hulu charges extra, Apple TV charges extra, HBO and HBO Plus are extra. So you can see how the basic package, all of a sudden you're paying $60, $70, $80 a month. Does one price fit all? And sometimes one price does fit all. You know, if you, trying to think of a one price fits all. You know, if you go to an ice cream store, they usually charge you the same for one scoop and then a slightly lower price per scoop if you buy 2, and a slightly lower price if you buy 3 scoops. You know, the price keeps going up, but it's lower per scoop of ice cream. But it doesn't matter if you order butter pecan or mint chip or chocolate chip or cookie dough. All the flavors are the same price. So that's one price fits all. Are various prices offered based on different product attributes? And that's where you would think about Chevy, Buick, or Cadillac. That as you get leather, as you get more features, you know, et cetera, more safety features, all the cameras. We just did buy a new car and it had so many safety features that they told us to drive it for 2 weeks. And then we had to make an appointment and go back and discuss it with their IT man to make sure we understood all the new features. But they were very clever. To encourage us to make the appointment to go back and see the IT man, they gave us a $25 gas gift card. So, but that's where different, you know, a car has different prices based on the product attributes. Are volume discounts available? And that's just what we talked about in the ice cream example, that for the more scoops you buy, the cheaper the cost per scoop becomes. And because really you're getting more and more profits, and you're only giving, your costs are going up only a teensy weensy bit because the spoon is the same price. The hourly wage is pretty much the same for the person scooping out the ice cream. And the only thing in cost that's really increasing is the size of the paper cup. So that's why volume discounts and real manufacturers of products use discounts too, where if you buy, you know, 18 cases, they give you 20. So that's not unusual. And then how is the product or service positioned? And this is it a loss leader? And a loss leader is something when Jewel Foods, our own local Jewel Foods, offers an incredibly low price on a loaf of bread or a head lettuce or something that's really common, a 6-pack of pop, something that everybody wants. And so it gets you in the store because very few of us, there are a few, but very few, can just come in for the one item that's on sale. So you come in for the 39-cent bread, but then you remember you need milk, you need eggs, you know, you're running low on butter. And so that's why they have a loss leader. And as a full strategy, I don't recommend being the cheapest one in the neighborhood because you'll put yourself out of business before you know what's happening. Because you don't want to lower your price and then have your competition lower their price, then you lower your price. It's a bad strategy. The other strategy is to be on par with the competition. So after McDonald's introduced their dollar menu, all of a sudden, all the other fast food joints introduced dollar menus, so they would be on par with their competition. Then slowly they were getting rid of the dollar menu because with prices going up with COVID, they couldn't maintain the pricing for a dollar menu. There might be a few items you can get for $1 because maybe they adjusted the size, or there's McDonald's, I think, still sells any size pop for $1. But that's because, like I said, if you give away pop, the syrup is so inexpensive and the charged water. And then the only thing that really costs more is the cup, the size of the straw. Slightly more expensive. That would be the difference between maybe the Chevy and the Buick, or the Chevy and whatever competes in the Chevy arena. Slightly more expensive. Or it might be that Culver's is slightly more expensive than McDonald's, but they believe they're giving you a better product. So slightly more expensive than the competition, or the most expensive. And the most expensive are the Cadillacs, the Lexus, the Porsches, the Beamers, the things that they're really, is the car that much better? I don't know. But they make you believe that it's so much better because it is charging so much more for it. And that's why I'm sure that Tesla is not happy that all his competitors are coming out with electric cars that I'm sure will be less money than a Tesla. So promotion, how will you promote the business's products or services? What advertising initiatives use mass media and are often geared towards creating or building brand awareness. And for the small business owner, these are very hard to use. Radio, satellite radio, television, cable, print magazines. Print magazines, newspapers, you can sometimes buy effectively because you can buy a region of the magazine or newspaper. So you can, maybe only make it run on the north side, especially if your stores are only on the north side or only on the south side. Or billboards, you can buy just specific billboards. Trade press is very good if you're selling business to business. If you make an industrial product or service, that can be very, very good. Like if you are a home inspector, you have a home inspection business, and you advertise in a real estate agent trade magazine that all the real estate agents read about trends, because a lot of times they recommend to prospective home buyers who to use for an inspection agent. And then there's digital media, which you can buy sort of cost effectively, not as cost efficiently as you could earlier. In radio, sometimes you really can, because you can buy flights. A flight of a TV spot or a radio spot is when you sign up for multiple numbers in a short period of time. And they give you some hours that are crappy and some that are good and some that are very good. But when you think about it, the WeatherTech people, which is an Illinois company, they started and did their whole business on radio, and they did it during drive time, which I'm sure is the most expensive time, but they might have started buying just a package of spots where they got a few in drive time and then other assorted times during the day. So sometimes radio or TV, depending on when you're buying it or how, think of those long TV ads. And there's been, Rosser Reeve was one of the guys who developed the TV ad there are infomercials, and Ron Popeil, who just recently died, the infomercial for the pocket fisherman or his Slice-O-Matic, where it's a really long commercial at goofy hours, but you've got nothing better to do, so you watch. So you have to think about where your customers who have the problem that you are solving are looking for solutions for your problem, for their problem. Now, sales promotion are more targeted and geared towards achieving more immediate top of mind sales. So think of direct mail. That's when you get catalogs for Land's End. And it still must work because I don't know about you, but Land's End, whenever you order from them, you get a catalog in the package for something that you didn't order from them. So if I order men's shirts, they send me something for the house or for women. Coupons, which are in the Sunday supplement or even in the daily newspapers or in neighborhood newspapers. Continuity or loyalty programs, that's the Starbucks rewards program or the Subway rewards program or any of those where you buy 10, you get something free, or you get a pastry free when you buy 10 cups of coffee. Special sales events are often combined with mass media, but that's like when Amazon has Prime Day or stores have Christmas and July Day when they want to generate sales and it's a slow period. And my husband says, why do they always sell mattresses on every holiday? Did you ever notice that? You need a mattress, wait till it's Lincoln's birthday or Washington's birthday, or it's Labor Day or Memorial Day or some, holiday weekend, because mattresses are always on sale. Trinkets or trash are also known as tchotchkes or leave-behinds. And that's when the repairman who just fixed your washer or dryer or dishwasher leaves you a magnet to keep on these products so that the next time another home appliance breaks, you know who to call. And it's also the way real estate agents leave pens when you go to see a house, an open house, because they want you to remember them, after the fact. So that's trinkets and trash. And there's social media, electronic media, and that's especially when clients or target audience is young. The age group is getting older and older for buying online, but usually older people are looking for reviews of products and looking at Wirecutter or Consumer Reports or other things versus just seeing ads to buy. I know I play a lot of Words with Friends. Every time I take a turn, I see an ad, and it is rare that I ever click to see more about the ad. But, sometimes, but it's a very good way if your audience is younger. Now, product placement or distribution. Where will your products be sold? Will you use wholesalers? If you make a product, and a lot of food manufacturers use wholesalers, they sell to wholesalers, and then the wholesalers sell to the restaurants or the grocery stores or the 7-Elevens and Quick Marts, or the gas stations. So that's a business who uses wholesalers, two-step distribution. They sell to the wholesalers sell to the retailers, and the retailer sells directly to the consumer. But a lot of businesses nowadays, home electronics used to always be two-step distribution, but then it changed somewhere around the turn of the century, where now a lot of home electronics sell directly to retailers. They cut out the wholesalers. So will you just sell over the internet, which has certainly worked for Land's End. Land's End was in Sears for a while, but we all saw how that went. So a lot of times people Wayfair. I am incredibly shocked at how good the stuff you order from Wayfair is and how really affordable it is. So having just an online presence. Now my husband wants me to buy an online only mattress. So far we're still debating it, because even though they'll take it back, when they take it back till I buy a new one, I'll be sleeping on the floor if I don't like it, because we will have gotten rid of the old one. So I'm not so sure about an online only mattress, although many people are doing it. They must know that they get very few returns. Will the business sell catalogs? Now, sometimes catalogs are used for special events. Fannie Mae usually, and that's a local company, Chicagoland company. They usually have catalogs like at Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, maybe Mother's Day. So, and Land's End has a catalog every other, day. And another big catalog user or a reasonable catalog user is Crate and Barrel. They do seasonal catalogs. And Williams-Sonoma does seasonal catalogs. And so a lot of people still use seasonal catalogs because people look at them when they're having a cup of coffee, when it's a quiet, restful period, if they want to kill some time, especially if they're working from home. So catalogs still do indeed work. Now, this is where I talk about distribution channels. Where can you buy a Coca-Cola? Take a minute and think about it. And if you want, in the chat, type where you can buy a Coca-Cola, because there are dozens and dozens of places of where you can buy a Coca-Cola. And usually this is a question I ask out loud. But if you can, write in the chat where you can buy a Coke. Is anybody there? I don't see. Hospitals and grocery stores. The Sahara Desert, maybe ball games. Oh, ball games. That's a new one for me. Let's see what else we have in chat. But those are all good points. And like I said, the ball game is a new one. But drugstores, grocery chains, traditional aisles at the checkout, mass merchandiser, warehouse clubs, convenience stores, gas stations, laundromat, office, vending machines, gas stations, absolutely, laundromats, office lounges, hospital lounges, student lounges, highway rest stops. Really, we just took a road trip. Every rest stop, even if it was a government one run in a state, always had pop and candy and chips. Highway rest stops, concert halls, movie theaters. And like I said, the ball game or hockey game, that's a new one on me. So I will have to add that to the list. But you can see that I don't think you're ever more than 350 feet away from a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi or some similar product. And here is the list, but newsstands in large buildings. But I will have to add sporting events because you're right. That's a new one on Donna. So more on distribution. And the reason people do that, the reason they want to be there is they want to be wherever a possible customer could want their product. And so they make it convenient to buy their products. You're never far away. Whenever you think I'm thirsty, I want a Coke, somebody just wrote restaurants, absolutely. Whenever you think that you want a Coke or a Pepsi, and most of us, there are a few diehards, but most of us, if I order a Coke and they say, oh, we only serve Pepsi, I don't really care. I'll drink a Pepsi. I want a cold drink. I want a cola. And so they really want to be everywhere that you might have an impulse sale or a regular sale. Like I said, you might buy a grocery chain, 6 packs or 24 packs, etc. Or at the big warehouse clubs, you certainly buy a case of pop. So they want to be where you want to buy, and they want to make it incredibly easy for you to buy. Will the business sell the merchandise on the internet, or will you just have a website that describes your products and services and has a store locator? Because a lot of big food producers don't sell you the food directly, but they will tell you where to buy the food. And sometimes I'm surprised when they tell me a tiny little store in my neighborhood that I think is more like a Quick Mart, and it will have the item I'm looking for. So those are pretty reliable, but they're not selling the food product over the internet because they don't want to pay the shipping and handling and the pick and pack cost. What about direct mail sales? Will the business use monthly or regular or quarterly catalogs? And direct mail sales are, like I said, when when you, it can be direct internet sales too. You send a catalog and then maybe you buy online or you order and mail back to the company. Most mail order companies also have online websites, but they send the catalogs periodically. Or will the catalogs be only for special events? So you have to think about that. Consider different channels to reach different target audiences. So you might distribute your Coca-Cola products one way to reach the end consumer purchase, the drugstores and the grocery stores and the convenience stores. And you might use a different channel, like wholesalers, to sell to restaurants and big cafeterias and hospitals and schools, etc. So you might use a different channel of distribution to reach a different target audience. So keep that in mind. Marketing segmentation. Okay, so a target audience is a specific segment of a market that shares the same specific customer attributes. So when a client would tell me that their product is good for everyone, yes, everybody might use it, but not everyone is buying it. And when I say that, if you think of bathroom tissue or toilet paper for the less discreet, yes, everybody uses it, but not everybody is buying it. The biggest buyers of toilet paper are probably women 18 to 50, because they're the homemakers and they're shopping regularly at the grocery stores and they're putting the toilet paper on the grocery list. So they have to reach out to the moms. And that's why you see the moms in the bathrooms of all these products for like Febreze and whatever. Yes, I'm sure men buy Febreze from now and then, but the heaviest users of Febreze and air freshener are the women heads of households. Also, who uses the product or service? Because sometimes the user and the buyer is not the same person. And that we just said with toilet paper, but also think baby food, diapers, men's clothing. Babies are the ones using the baby food and the diapers, but they're not going to Jewel or Mariano's and buying it. No, mom is. Even men's clothing, they've done research, more women buy men's clothing than men do, because a lot of men don't like to shop and their wife or girlfriend doesn't want to be embarrassed, or their sister even, so more women buy men's clothing than men do. What attributes do people or businesses share that cause them to have the same product or service need? What common problem or problems do they want solved? And that's very important, because I don't care how cheap Spot Hero is. If I don't drive, I don't care. I don't have a car to park. So the same way, if I'm a senior and a really old senior, and I'm not computer literate, I don't care what the prices are on Amazon. I'm not buying from them. I can't order online. So you really have to think about, and that's why stores will never completely go out of business, because some people also, especially when it comes to certain items, want to see or feel or touch. Yes, Amazon makes it easy to return things, but you still got to take it back. So think about, what common problems are you solving? These are some common attributes. They're not exclusively the only ones, but some very common ones that can help you do your market segmentation. You can segment by age, because certain drugstore makeup lines are probably, and certain types of makeup products are heavier used by younger women than older women. L'Oreal certainly isn't writing off older women with all their Regenerist products, but they make plenty of other makeup for younger women, their regular line of cosmetics. So, but they're segmenting their different products by age, by sex, Think men's belts versus ladies' belts. You know, if I'm a belt manufacturer, I probably make both, but I market them differently or have many more stock keeping units for the women's line versus the men's line. Body type, we've already talked about petite, large and tall, women's plus sizes, you know, so there's lots of body type things where you would, you know, if you're making stuff for the big and tall, you're not really talking to the average size man or somebody who's below about 6'3". I found out actually ties for the big and tall men, it's usually 6'4" and over, are actually 4 inches longer than ties for regular men. So body type, income level. Income level is very important because are you making somebody save up so that high school girl can have a Coach purse and really feel like $1,000,000 even though she had to babysit her little heart out so she could afford it? Or is it really a luxury product that people in the luxury category buy repeatedly? Home ownership, very, very important. If you live in a single family home or even in some condos, but not mine, there are things that you use in a single family home that you don't need if you live in a condo or an apartment. I do live in a condo. I don't need a lawnmower. I don't need I don't have a balcony, so I don't need a barbecue. I don't need a shovel. You know, there's a lot of things I don't need because I live in a high rise, where if I was a single family homeowner and I had snow to shovel and grass to cut and leaves to rake, there's a whole bunch of equipment I need that I don't need by not owning a home, even though I own a condo. Zip code. Zip code, don't think south side, north side. We're not competing the Cubs against the Sox. Zip code means there are certain things that you need based on where you live in America often. Is it really hot? I learned that Trane air conditioners makes different air conditioners if you live south of the Mason-Dixon line, because they have so many days above 90 and 100 degrees, where now climate change is making this change, where above the Mason-Dixon line, there really aren't that many days where you would need a special heavier duty air conditioner. So zip code is sort of in that thing, or where you sell all-terrain tires, or where you sell tractors. You're going to sell a lot of tractors in farmlands, not so much in the city of Chicago. So that's what it means by zip code. Ethnic or religious background. This can mean that you make religious jewelry and it's for one specific religion, so you're only going to sell it to that denomination. Or it can be ethnic, like a food, where people of Latinx descent might buy many more tortillas or chilies or adobo than I do. Do I buy it? Yes, once in a blue moon when I make a Latinx type of meal entree, but I don't buy it nearly as often as if it was my main food. On the other hand, because of my ethnicity, I buy a lot more brisket, matzah, and matzah meal. So, you know, it's not a bad thing if you target your audience based on their purchasing predilections. Occupation. Are you selling hard hats? Are you selling lunch pails to construction workers? Are you selling briefcases to the lawyers and the real estate agents, et cetera, and the people who wear suits or business casual, or even business casual? You're not going to sell business casual or suits and ties to people who are construction workers or electricians or plumbers. It's not practical. Geographic location, we talked about that with zip code, but there's also other things that you use on geographic location just because of the type of lifestyle you live. If you live out in North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, states that aren't so populated versus big, high city density populations. So that can be, it's the type of shoes you wear, might be very different based on geographic location. You might wear a lot more work shoes in farming communities than you do living in working in the city of Chicago. Lifestyle issues. And this can be, are you, do you have kids at home? Well, that's also children in household. But just how do you perceive yourself? Do you have a lot of disposable income, or you don't have disposable income? If you are empty nesters, you have a lot more disposable income. Your kids are all grown out of the house. You can spend money on travel when travel was more doable than, pre-COVID, and I'm sure it will be after COVID. Marital status. There are things you buy being married that you don't necessarily buy when you are single. Just different foods because he likes them, but you wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. Different cars you buy, usually a different car if you're married than if you're single. You might have that sexy sports car because money's no object if you're single, but if you're married, you might buy a sedan or an SUV. Children and household, definitely, because you need all the things that kids need and they grow so fast. So you're constantly buying shoes and clothes and school supplies and things that they go through or lose. If you have a child in the household or you have a child who owns a smartphone, you very likely pay that exorbitant price for smartphone insurance because they're constantly dropping them and breaking them. But if you're a mature adult, you might say, I've had 6 smartphones. I never dropped it. I never really broke it. I'm going to save the $30 a month and not pay for insurance. So that's another lifestyle or kids in household, kids type of hobbies. Hobbies are very important. And during the pandemic, we really saw that hobbies were so popular during the pandemic that the craft stores, the Michaels and the Joanne Fabrics, etc., were so out of stock of goods. It was unbelievable because people were sewing their own masks, but they were also crocheting and knitting to beat the band, me included. I could not believe how hard it was to get yarn during the height of the pandemic. And boy, did I crochet. So hobbies, knitting, crocheting, golf, tennis, any kind of hobby, because you need different clothes when you play tennis. You need different shoes when you play tennis. And then special interests. You might be a bird watcher, and there are bird watchers, where you need super high powered, spy glasses to see the birds or to study them. Or if you like to see birds, you might have a really good camera, or you might buy a bird bath or a bird house or a bird feeder. I have friends that like to watch birds. They have a special feeder for hummingbirds. I didn't even think hummingbirds existed in Illinois, but they do. And they have a bird bath because different ones like to take baths often, and they have different feeders for different bird species. So hobbies and interests can certainly be a use of segmentation. And then these are common business to business market segmentation groups. The type of business, is it public, private, government agency, or a nonprofit? Industry classification, and this is usually manufacturer, retailer, or wholesale. What is your classification? The number of employees, because if you have a huge number of employees, you might have cafeterias, so you could use the big food service in big giant sizes, or your annual sales volume. You might, if you are a very successful company, you might offer and you have lots of employees, you might offer your company more benefits. And so you need a different type of benefit service company. And then the geographic location, because sometimes they need, if you have big factories and you're in a company, in a city that, or part of America that has snow, you need those snow removal attachments that you put on trucks. If you live in the South, although they had a snowstorm once this last winter. You don't really typically, that's why they got caught with their pants down, need snow removal equipment. Specific market segments or audience define the primary market. This is your heaviest user. And for makeup, I would say it's probably women 18 to 25 or 30. And the secondary target audience is maybe women 25 to 45. And then the tertiary market, because most women till they're, God forbid, buried, are wearing makeup, you know, is the women 50 and older or 55 and older, because they have different makeup needs. You know, we have a few lines, so different makeup needs, but that's a primary target audience, your heaviest users, your secondary audience, your next heaviest users, and on and on. During the coronavirus, we explained how retail stores were short of inventory. Think bags of flour. Retail customers buy one, you know, it's a big audience, but typically they buy a 5-pound bag of flour, not 50 or 100-pound bags of flour. And so when a manufacturer had set up to produce so many 5-pound bags of flours, but many, many more 50 or 100-pound bags for food manufacturers, they couldn't switch the production lines fast enough to make the 5-pound bag of flour. So you really have to think about your target audience. And that happened with the same with toilet paper. Most people are at school or work for many, many hours a day, and they use commercial bathrooms that have those giant rolls of toilet paper. So, you know, when you're away from the house for 8 or 10 hours, 12 hours a day, you didn't need that much home-sized toilet paper, but you certainly did when we were all staying home 24/7. But manufacturers couldn't adjust their packaging that quickly. They didn't have the printed packaging. They didn't have the tubes that go in the center. You know, it was a whole chain effect. Why define a market, target audience? To make product decisions. You know, who's going to buy it and how do they like to buy it? How to position it. Is it good, better, best? Are you trying to get the mass audience that buys it because it's affordable? Or think of even Oreos. Oreos, when I was growing up, had the one size Oreos. Then they came out with a family size. It was a bigger package, the same original Oreos, just more of them in a package. Now they have a million different sizes of Oreos, and they have a million different flavors and colors. Autumn ones are out, pumpkin ones, minty ones. They had rainbow ones for this past June. So all sorts of how to determine how to position your product, pricing decisions. How much can you charge? Does the price go down when you buy a bigger and bigger packages? It usually does. A case of Coke costs less usually than 4 6-packs. Advertising decisions. Where are you going to inform your customers that you've got these great products or services for sale? And also, it's more cost effective to reach your heaviest users and make the biggest impact on sales. A few more words on buyers' behavior and target marketing. There's the psychographic feelings frequently force the buyer to select a specific product. We've talked a little bit about this, the urban dweller versus the rural dweller. You know, you might buy a much different car if you need off-road traction versus if you're driving on, you know, the Eisenhower or the Kennedy. Income level, or the income level you're working towards. Education level. Education level does affect it because you might be selling higher education, or you might be selling very sophisticated products that requires higher education. And the importance of the family unit and children, we already talked about when there's kids in the house, and career status, white collar versus blue collar. Am I carrying a lunch pail or a briefcase? But it helps you make smart purchase decisions if you understand your target audience. Purchase decisions as far as where to advertise, where to promote. It helps you if you really understand your target audience. Plus you build the product that has the features and benefits that they're looking for. If you, they invented, women will know this, men not so much, but they have slips now where sort of you can cut off, like you buy one length, but then if you need it shorter, you can take off like a row of lace and it becomes a shorter slip. I thought it's very innovative. Now, once you tear off and make the slip shorter, you can't make it longer again, but still it was an innovative idea. This is a competitive analysis, and I did give it to Geraldine so she can post it or send it to you after this lecture. It names your company business name and then 4, 5, 6 factors that are the most compelling reasons why people buy from you or would buy your product or service. What's most compelling? Is it product assortment? Is it cost? Is it the price? Is it the convenience? Are you around the corner? Are you located in a million locations? So the 5 or 6 factors across the top, then your business, and then 4 or 5 of your biggest competitors. So if I was McDonald's, I would put McDonald's there, and then my first factor might be uniform quality, and my second factor might be affordability, and my third factor might be product assortment or menu assortment, and my fourth factor might be hours of operation. So that's how you fill out this. And then these are just some common competitive factors: product assortment, unique selling proposition, boutique or something for everyone. You know, are you a boutique store or are you a Macy's? Quality, availability, hours of operation. Don't forget 7-Eleven built the whole business on hours of operation. Warranties, service after the sale. ABT, appliances or electronics in Glenview, sells more appliances and has bigger sales than I think any appliance chain in America because of service after the sale. Free or convenient parking, that's a biggie one. Now, no offense, because you have to pay for city parking. Free or low cost delivery, that's very important, especially during the pandemic. Customer service, focus on target audience, knowledgeability of salespeople. How, you know, we prefer to buy all our appliances at Apt, even though ABT, even though they are in Glenview, we are in downtown Chicago, but they can tell me the difference between washers and dryers and dishwashers, etc. Price, reliability, payment terms. Do you have your own credit card? Is it 24 months, same as, you know, cash, no interest? That's how window companies sell their windows a lot, and garage companies, etc. Location, convenience management. You know your greatest strength and your greatest weakness, because if you know your greatest weakness, you know how to sell against your competition. I am a small consulting firm, so my greatest weakness is that I'm small. But my greatest strength is when I sell to a customer, they are dealing with one of the directors, the managers of the business. They don't get some young kid fresh out of marketing school. They are getting a seasoned professional. So you can turn your smallness into a strength. And why buy from your business? More competitive factors: ways to shop online, in-store, buy catalog, buy app, buy phone, using a voice or smartphone, buy subscription service, free or low cost shipping, return policy. Return policy is very important to me when I buy online. Don't forget industry research. Is your industry growing, stable, or contracting? Are you making buggy whips where you only need them for a Western movie or TV show? Is it stable? Is it sort of, you know, or is it growing? And growing, I would say maybe smartwatches are still growing. Phones are pretty saturated, but, you know, who are the key players in your industry and where to find research? And these are some good places to find research. I want to make sure I get through all the slides. Simple low-cost methods, continuity or loyalty programs. We talked about those. That's buy 10, get 1 free. Trinkets or trash or leave behinds. Indoor and outdoor signage. Make it easy for customers to find your business Work with your alderman to get a sign that you can read when you're going from the street and you're driving by and looking for somebody. Coupons and direct mail basics: create urgency, include an expiration date, and never start a coupon or an ad, I believe, as a copywriter with a question, because if the answer is no, you just turn the page or flip over. But that's my personal opinion. There's no research behind that. Build more low-cost methods. Build a customer mailing list or an emailing list. Create a birthday discount or special offer. Offer volume discounts. Create a referral program, which they do on Babbel. If I recommend Babbel to somebody else, I get a month free. Offer a bonus to customers for making an introduction. Have a wacky sales event. We talked about that, Christmas in July. Run a contest even with a small prize. Lou Malnati's, our own local pizza hero, has done wonders with their Facebook, having all sorts of cockamamie contests and involving interest and having fun, where they give away a pizza or two. So the prize is small, but the word of mouth and the participation to keep the brand alive and in the forefront of everybody is huge. Electronic media, e-newsletters, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, blogs, search engine optimization, all things you should be aware of. Newsletters, they're easy, they're inexpensive. You can customize coupons and offers, and they have user-friendly analytics. We're talking about Constant Contact or MailChimp. Facebook, I just looked it up. It's 2.7 billion as of August 21st of this year. So you create fan pages. They're not really, you can't have that much interaction, but you can touch a lot of clients and keep your brand top of mind. Since I was called so late this morning, I didn't have time to update this slide to 2.7 million. You have Facebook, you have limited ability to customize your page. They have analytical tools to see who's seeing your messages, but it's a closed environment. So people like me who don't really use Facebook, yes, I have an account, but I never use it. I'm not seeing the messages. LinkedIn is free to use, used by professionals. It's a great way to connect to peers and potential clients if you have a business-to-business product or service. They're straightforward. It's easy to make connections, but you're not there for selling. But it allows you to ask for people before you're making a sales call on a company, if somebody in your network that you're connected to can sort of grease the wheels. They're less fun, they're stodgy compared to Facebook, and you're sort of discouraged to sell, but you can fish for connections. Job seekers are more likely to use it, and they use it for purely professional. You can't really market or sell on it, but you can write articles that show that you're an expert, which is particularly important if you are in a service business. Twitter, can't say I use it. Yes, I have an account, but you only get 280 characters, and you have to use less than 280 so that people can easily retweet you. It's in real time. It's easy to build fans. It's very quick to share links. It's easy to retweet, but it can be just as easy to retweet unfavorable reviews as well, or bad comments. It's text only. You have to use videos and pictures through links. Like I said, stay at about 240 if you want to get retweeted. There's lots of noise and clutter, and spammers have a field day with it. YouTube, I think, is incredibly important. If you have a product and you can demonstrate ways to use it, or how to make your life easier using your product, or it's a new food ingredient and 10 recipes that are simple to do, I think YouTube I've never watched so many YouTubes as I have during the pandemic, because I had to learn how to sew a mask. I had to, we bought attachments for appliances we had because we had nothing better to do. So we were cooking differently. So definitely YouTube. And also if you can find product influencers to promote your products or service, that can be a real boost to your business. Blogs, it's just a web blog. You have to constantly change your entries and manage your article content to make reasons for people to come back and visit. Otherwise, they just die quickly. So you have to be updated regularly. They take more time and effort than Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn to keep them current. There's templates through free services can limit your communications. And otherwise, you need to know an computer language to be able to design your own. More complicated unless you're really tech savvy. Why use social media? They're free or low cost. Constant Contact, I think, lets you have a free account if you have less than 40, users to start out with. They're popular and hundreds of thousands of people use them. Their growth rates, they're getting older and older. And remember, don't poo-poo older people. They have a lot of disposable income. They help you build your brand awareness very affordably. And you can look out for the competition and sign up to get their messages. Websites, it's your public face of your company, so make sure yours is user-friendly. Search engine optimization is so that you have all the keywords that anybody could possibly search for you in the meta tags. And search engine marketing is it gains traffic and visibility so that, both paid and unpaid, so that you come up often and you're paying for that first paid position for an ad through Google AdWords or similar. Other tools, networking, especially if you sell business to business. Join, commercial business groups in your neighborhood. Elevator pitch, word of mouth, referral programs, testimonials on your website, online reviews. Oh, I didn't change this to Angie's. This is now Angie's list is Angie's TripAdvisor, Home Advisor, etc. I guess Angie's bought Home Advisor. I don't like it as much since they merged, but that's just me. And this is how to find me. So I got through with only 5. All right. So now we can open it up to questions.
Hi, Donna. Let me take a look and see if any questions came in. If everyone could please send their questions through the chat, that would be the most helpful and the best way to get them to us. Can you explain loss leader again?
Sure. A loss leader is if you have a retail business or even a restaurant and you want somebody to walk through that door, you offer something free. So it can be a free Coke when you buy a sandwich, or it's a 39-cent bread at Jewel. It's something that you give away that's inexpensive to you, and they're going to buy more sales. And that's why a lot of companies do give away, a pair of free socks when you buy shoes. It's a hook to get them in the door, but it's usually an item that you do sell. A lot of times it's sold at cost. So you're not really losing money, but it's a hook to get people in the door.
Okay, thank you. What do you think about a marketer sending postcards and its effectiveness?
I love direct mail. I love postcards, direct mail. Work with your local post office, because they have very specific rules about what is doable for the automatic sorting machines on a postcard. But I love a postcard because you can say your message on both sides. So no matter how it comes in the mail, you see part of the offer or all of the offers. So and especially for local area businesses where you really, because when you work with the post office, they can tell you how to just buy zip codes, that are in your immediate area. So I love direct mail.
Great, thank you. Another question, how can you use Instagram effectively as a source of a marketing product?
Well, I'm not an expert on Instagram, but just constantly posting, like I said, if you make a food ingredient and you want to show uses for it, showing like how you use the ingredient, even if it's you make a product that decorates a cake and you show the different tips for the cake decoration, showing the product in action can really help, sales. Like I said, we bought an attachment for the KitchenAid that was a meat grinder during the pandemic. And did I need it? Probably not. But the guy was so convincing in the YouTube video, and Instagram is sort of like that, but it's just pictures, that it made me feel like I could do that. And that's what you want to convey with Instagram, that people, like if you have a yarn shop, that people can make that sweater, make that scarf, make that hat. So that's how you can use, it to get more impressions with your followers. Give them courage.
Great. Another question, do you have any nitty-gritty tips for defining your target audience? Where do you find good research and how do you go about the process?
Well, that's a very interesting question. So one of the thing is you can have some idea of who you think your target audience is. And then you can go and try to curate a focus group of who you thought it was. Don't have them be friends and family, have them be strangers. Ask a church group, people that you don't really know well, or neighbors that you only know to say hello or goodbye, and give them a little prize afterward, give them a $5 Starbucks gift card. But then ask them, have a script written to talk about your product or service. So you can start with friends or family, but a lot of times they don't want to hurt your feelings. So it's better to use strangers. And then ask questions like, why would you use it? How often would you use it? What would cause you to use it? Why would you buy it over what brand you're using now? Those types of questions.
Great. Another question, what ways have worked for you in capturing an audience that does not include social media?
Okay, so what I did, but I sold the service, was there are 2 books. Do not buy them. They are expensive, but our wonderful Chicago Public Library has them. They are the Illinois Manufacturers Association and the Illinois Association of Service Businesses. Those might not be the exact titles, but the Illinois Manufacturers Association is, the service one is similar. And basically, my strategy was I sold advertising and sales promotion consulting services and design. I sold to companies that were not glamorous because I figured everybody wants to do packaged goods and makeup and fun things. No. I was willing to write copy about plumbing supplies, chemicals that ran nuclear power plants, not glamorous products. And then I looked in the Manufacturers Association and saw who produced the least glamorous products. And I also looked for where I already had a customer. So if I was driving to Itasca to sell one company, I looked in Itasca to sell other companies, figuring I could make more efficient sales calls. I could call on one and then call on the other guy because I'd say I was going to be in his neighborhood. So I just had a strategy that was to look for unglamorous products, and it has served me very well. And I wrote about a lot of strange products and services, raw ingredients that go into vitamins, stuff that's not romantic. But if you want to make superfoods, you also use the raw ingredients. So sort of think outside the box. Think who your competition isn't selling, that you might find a niche.
Okay, great. Another question is there good resource to product-based businesses, SEO, SEM optimizations?
You probably can see some tutorials on using AdWords, you know, or go to a Google class, which is probably free or very low cost. And that would be the best place to start for low cost, about how to make sure the words are in your meta tags, you know, buried in your website. And then anybody who worked on your website can bury them in there. But I would say start with Google AdWords. And also, oh, I forgot to say this, everybody should take their Google business space. It's free. So you go to Google, I want to say it's Google My Business. I forget, they changed the name slightly. But you know how when you look up a store and you just want to know how late they're open, and that little box comes up and it says closing soon, or their hours of operation, or where they're located, or that's free from Google. So take advantage of it. You just have to fill out the form. And they usually like to know that you're the owner of that, you know, site. Like when I did it for a school, I had to prove I worked for the school because the school did not have Google My Business. But anyhow, so that's a great free resource, and that can help you too, because, you know, you got to be in it to win it. So it just helps you show up more often. And if they sort of know your name, even if they don't know exactly your name, you'll come up in the search. But go to a Google class or take a Google online course in Google AdWords.
Great. Another question. Without a research budget, how do you go about conducting a client segmentation?
Well, like I said, sometimes you just have to think about who your audience is, and then ask people who don't know you that well that fit that profile. You know, so if you're, you know, don't use family members, but maybe use neighbors that you only know to say hello and goodbye to, that sort of fit that profile. They're male, you know, 25 to 45. They live in a high rise, you know, or they live in a single family home. So sort of look for people, and you might even, don't put the flyer in the mailbox, that's illegal, but you can put flyers indoors if you want to cultivate, you know, and say that I'm starting a new business and I want to get some feedback on my product or service. And if you attend, you know, and give them a website to say that they'll attend, you know, you'll get a $5 or so Starbucks gift card. You'd be surprised what people will do to help other people out. And a $5 gift card is sort of compelling. And it can be a Dunkin' Donuts, it can be any gift card.
Thank you. Another question. Any advice for people who primarily promote their businesses on marketplaces like eBay or Amazon?
It's a very good question. I think if you're on eBay, you have to really, and Amazon both, know your competition and, you know, search for all the ways you think you would come up and see who's there and if you show up or you don't show up. Because a lot of times the sorting mechanisms are not so great. And sometimes when you search, you'll show up once or twice, more than once. So, and I don't know how Amazon does that, but I know you've all seen it where same item shows up more than once. On eBay, I can honestly say I don't use it, so I don't know that much about eBay, but I would say keep an eye on competitive prices, and sometimes you might want to be a loss leader, give away something that you have multiples of, or for a very affordable price, or, you know, be willing to let it go, just so that you can build an email list. So that, because you know how a lot of times when you buy something online or you read something, if you buy a book on Amazon, people who read this also read that. You know, it's the same kind of thing with eBay. People who bought baseball trading cards also bought, you know, I don't know, some other similar baseball bobbleheads or something, or whatever you deal in. So you might look at a way of that way to cultivate, you know, and have them add it, you know, click in to join your notification group, or that you use cookies so that you can send them messages when they look for similar products. you know, so that when you have similar products in that category, you can push it out to them. Ooh, just got a Mickey Mantle mint card, etc.
Great. Thanks, Donna. That is all the questions today. I just want to say one more time that this webinar has been recorded and will be posted on BACP's YouTube page at www.youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Donna, thank you again for filling in. This was a fantastic webinar. We're very, very grateful. And everyone, hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you again.
Thank you. You too, Geraldine. Take care. Bye-bye.